Are the anchors of Queer News Tonight, and this evening we discuss the queer headlines. Italy's largest Catholic scouting group, AGE-SCI, now allows LGBTQ+ adults in leadership roles after years of debate. It pledges to combat homophobia, lesbophobia, and transphobia within the organization.
Ghana's parliament approved a sweeping anti-LGBTQ bill criminalizing queer identity, advocacy, and allyship. Human rights groups condemned the measure as religious leaders pressure President John Dramani Mahama to sign it.
A 2026 TAMI survey found many LGBTQ+ people feel excluded from Pride Month celebrations, citing underrepresentation, performative corporate support, and social pressure and growing discomfort in public queer spaces.
Actor Jonathan Bailey says he refused to hide his sexuality despite industry fears. He highlighted the importance of queer representation and visibility for future LGBTQ+ generations.
A new San Francisco mural celebrates LGBTQIA+, QTP, IPOC sex workers while advocating dignity, justice, decriminalization, and inclusion in policy discussions.
All this and more LGBTQ+ news this evening on Queer News Tonight. Welcome to Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only LGBTQ daily news television show broadcasting live and available on demand on your favorite streaming channels.
Analytics company vidIQ has certified the Queer News Tonight YouTube channel as the world's most popular LGBTQ streaming news show. Our queer stories have reached over 12 million views.
We are proud that Queer News Tonight has more YouTube subscribers than any other LGBTQ brand in Florida.
We thank you for watching and supporting our voice in our rainbow family.
There is no other news program in the LGBTQ world like Queer News Tonight.
It is Thursday, June 4th, and we are live and literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we will tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
You're watching Queer News Tonight, the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Welcome to the world's most important LGBTQ evening news show.
Happening Out Television Network is a nonprofit 501c3 media company in the same model as PBS and NPR, but created for the LGBTQ community.
Our nonprofit mission is to support the 11 pillars of our community. We want to inform and educate the key issues of lesbian, trans, Latino, Black, healthcare, seniors, students, faith, social justice, business, and queer culture. Help us support our diverse community.
We are part of one of the largest LGBTQ nonprofit media companies in America. Hotspots Happening Out, South Florida.
In 2026, our magazine is celebrating 41 years of LGBTQ experience, and Queer News Tonight is celebrating our 5th anniversary with more than 14,000 LGBTQ television stories. We present South Florida's major LGBTQ events, including Pride Fort Lauderdale, Stonewall Pride, and Pride Fest. Our magazine events and television news, talk, and entertainment shows support our mission to educate the LGBTQ and broader community.
In 2026, more than 100 community leaders will sit at this table and share their voice as our anchors. Together, we host this show to support the LGBTQ community. Let's meet this evening's anchors at Queer News Tonight. Let's welcome anchor Alex Morash. Alex has served as editor-in-chief of Options Magazine, media director of the National LGBTQ Task Force, and press secretary for the Florida Democrat Party. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm always having a fun time here and being as gay as possible.
Well, we love that. Thank you for being here. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, an inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is an entertainment journalist whose celebrity interviews and reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ publications and websites. Welcome to the show, Gregg.
I'm happy to be here. I'm practically feeling nuclear.
Well, thank you for being here. And let's welcome anchor Dr. Bobby Huen, a world traveler and well-versed in global affairs. Bobby provides an international perspective on current events. A PhD in conflict resolution, Bobby is a certified civil and family mediator and the founder of BH Conflict Resolution Services. Welcome to the show, Bobby.
Thank you. How are you doing, honey?
I'm doing really great. Thank you for being here. Let's welcome anchor Larry Farver. Larry has over 20 years of experience in human resources, acting, film, radio, TV, live events, parade float design, production, and casting. He is also a board member of the West Side Association. Let's welcome to the show, Larry.
It's great to be here, Brian, and kick off Pride Month with all you wonderful gentlemen tonight.
All of us wonderful queers here at the table.
That's right.
And Larry, is there anything that you don't do?
I'm working on some more things.
You are? Okay, you'll bring it back to the table when
Absolutely. I'll revise and edit.
Okay, love that. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And of course, let's welcome tonight's lead anchor, Brian Bender. Brian is a true South Florida local. He's an educator, community leader, and a strong voice in education, history, and public policy. He teaches in Broward County Public Schools, holds a bachelor's and master's degree in education, and a postgraduate degree in leadership, and serves on the Fort Lauderdale Education Advisory Board. Welcome to the show, Brian. How you doing today, girl? You going to school us?
Oh gosh, I'm going to school you all on something that you've never learned before. I don't know what it is. As it flies out of my mouth, I will learn it myself. So I just want to say thank you, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here with such a robust roundtable, and let's have a good time.
Oh.
I'm Brian Bender, and let's queer up faith. Italian Catholic Scouts open leadership roles to LGBTQ plus members for the first time. The Italian Association of Catholic Guides and Scouts, known as AGESCI, announced the policy shift in a recent release document. This change came after 3 years of internal debate and consultation. The document said, quote, AGESCI has reached the conclusion that emotional orientation and gender identity cannot constitute exclusion criteria in the discernment that community leaders are called upon to exercise when adults request to join the association to play an educational role, end quote. The organization also stated that its mission of welcoming others means, quote, it is essential to promote paths aimed at overcoming homophobic, lesbophobic, and transphobic feelings and attitudes. Such feelings, in fact, constitute an obstacle to the recognition, inclusion, and integration of male and female leaders in our groups and at all levels of the association, end quote. Founded in 1974, AGESCI is Italy's largest scouting and youth organization with more than 182,000 members and over 33,000 leaders as of 2024, including around 2,000 priests. Previously, LGBTQ plus people could participate in scouting activities, but were barred from educational leadership positions. During consultations that began in 2022, the organization collected testimonies from LGBTQ plus members describing experiences of exclusion and prejudice. The move comes weeks after the Vatican's 2026 Synod report acknowledged the, quote, pain and profound suffering, end quote, experienced by LGBTQ plus Catholics, particularly those subjected to conversion therapy. I think this is a win for the community. I think those Italian boys and girls and non-binary and non-conforming and whatever you want to say, whatever identity they have, they are going to really benefit from having people that represent them in their scouting community. So I think it's wonderful.
And I think that credit should be made to Pope Francis, who the process started under him, and of course now continued under Pope Leo, who is a Francis protege. We are seeing a revival of social liberalism inside the Catholic hierarchy, and that's a good thing. Ever since, Pope John Paul II was notoriously conservative, followed by Benedict, who is, another one who came from the office, literally the office of Inquisition. No matter what they call it in the States, that started with the office of Inquisition. And now with Francis and Leo, we are seeing more active, socially progressive popes and changing the leadership within the Catholic hierarchy. Now, the next step is for Leo to come out and tell the archbishops that they must stop promoting, or at least actively discourage conversion therapy for all the parish priests. We just have one of the bishops just show up at the white nationalist rally not too long ago.
Really?
It's one of the prayer rallies on the National Mall. Yeah, we covered that story like a couple
I
weeks
wasn't
ago.
there that night. I wasn't invited that night.
No, I don't think any one of us were invited for that particular.
But it's interesting that something so progressive is occurring as Italy itself is being ruled by Giorgio Meloni's conservative government. I mean, it just seems like such an interesting... and it's also, I'm interested in that phrase, emotional orientation. Now, we think that might be a translation issue, but I actually think that's... I wonder if that's being used to make queerness more palatable to
Can
Catholics.
I ask you, what's your emotional orientation?
Queer.
Queer, okay. What's your emotional orientation? Fun. What's yours, Bobby?
Gay as hell.
Gay as hell? What's your slang?
He just stole my line.
He did? Okay,
Yes.
well, you'll have to think of another one.
Yeah, well, I'm here and I'm queer. What
You're
can I
here?
say?
Okay, that's your emotional orientation.
Yes.
Yeah, we weren't sure if that was a translation or not.
The other thing I'll say, though, on this is it's interesting to see, like, Italy, which is, you don't think of it as, like, the bastion of the left
liberalism,
right now.
No.
But, like, they're moving forward on queer rights, including making sure to include trans people, while trans people in America are being put into a horrific situation.
You said you weren't going to get negative tonight, but okay. Lay it
Our
on
viewers
us.
expect a certain thing out of
That's
me.
true.
I
told him before we started.
This is just yet another example of America could do better.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add, Larry? Anything to that?
I think it's all been said by these wonderful speakers here at our table tonight.
I'm Alex Morash, and let's clear up the world view. Ghana's parliament approves bill criminalizing LGBTQ identity. Ghana's parliament has approved a controversial anti-LGBTQ bill that would criminalize identity as queer and imposing prison sentences of up to 3 years. The bill also criminalizes promotion of LGBTQ activities and introduces a quote-unquote duty to report act considered illegal under the law. Allies supporting the queer community could also face imprisonment. Exemptions would apply to people in the legal, media, and healthcare sectors who report on LGBTQ+ issues or provide medical care to queer individuals. President John Dramani Mahama has not yet signed the bill into law, but religious leaders are urging him to approve it. Reverend John Frazier, who sponsored the legislation, told Parliament on May 29th that the measure would protect Ghana's cultural and family values and make anti-LGBTQ laws more robust and more encompassing and more strident in dealing with the practices of LGBTQI individuals. Same-sex relations between men have been illegal in Ghana since British colonial rule, but the new bill would punish people simply for identifying as queer. International human rights groups have condemned the legislation. A similar bill passed in 2024, but was never signed into law by the former president due to legal concerns. I'm glad that the article mentioned a very important point. Whenever we talk about African countries, a lot of people are like, oh, they're so primitive. Like, it has to do with British rule. This all comes down to British colonialism really has screwed up so many different nations, and I think is a big driver of a lot of this homophobia. I know others will say that there's some other things going on. Bobby, are there any other factors at play here that we?
Of course, there's, for example, ever since American evangelicals, with people such as Scott Lively, who compared gays to the Nazis, and they are the drivers behind a lot of these extreme anti-LGBTQ legislation that are now popping up. And the thing is, they are coming from a place where they resents the fact that they can no longer impose their values at home in the United States, where LGBTQ rights were growing from leaps and bounds in the early 21st century. And so they decided to spread their hatred outward. They know that
new imperialism.
I have a theory. This is my theory, and I don't have anything to back it up. It's just my pattern recognition. I think that they feel that ultimately the United States is going to go, quote unquote, more liberal, and they want to set up bastions and safe places for them and their followers to be able to go, perhaps in places like Africa where they can reimpose some kind of a colonial system and know that the laws are already in place that are aligned to their exact prejudices and hatreds.
The thing is that there was all these talk about quote-unquote traditional values were not traditional at all. They were, as Alex said, a lot of them were imposed by Victorian England and colonial English laws where anti-gay, specifically anti-gay and sentiments was high. And now they're borrowing also playbook from Russia, for example. Russia has decriminalized gay sex. You can actually have sex with people in the same time. You cannot promote it or identify yourself as LGBTQ or anything else. Or
magazine.
Yeah, no Hotspots magazine, no queer representation. I mean, someone was arrested because they streamed Heated Rivalry or wrote a review of Heated Rivalry.
Well, I have to say I've seen some clips of that, and that is some softcore.
Well, I mean, it is HBO.
I'm not justifying anything that Russia's doing. Just saying it is.
And while Italy is moving gaily forward, Ghana is moving backwards.
Yeah.
Well,
Shame on Ghana's parliament. I mean, don't they have more pressing issues to deal with than this?
Well, I'd like to think that in 2 years, when someone gets kicked out of the White House, that we have someone who in our leadership who will not continue the trade relations that they're enjoying right now, because, you know, Ghana has agricultural, financial tech, mining, mineral rights, tourism. They're also participating with FIFA, from what I understand. They sent representatives out. They sent representatives to help us celebrate our 250th birthday. And after hearing this story, kind of makes me feel a little bit sick. Yes, exactly.
Yes, Ghana has very good relations with the U.S. I noticed that both Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Obama had all visited the country. Kamala Harris, as vice president, also visited Ghana. They have that's the other thing, is that they're not like this random crazy country. Like they're pretty
functional.
Legit country. It's a very odd thing of them.
Well, but in terms of what they're doing now with the LGBT community, I think we need someone to come to our.
We did impose sanctions on Uganda, and people do actually, when certain countries, European countries specifically, they have denied aid to countries that impose harsh anti-LGBTQ rules. I mean, Uganda has seen basically the entire tourism industry evaporate when this law was imposed.
Tourism industry.
People go to safari. Well, people go to safaris. People do things. People do things that are typical in that particular region of Africa to attract tourism. See the elephants or whatever.
And as we did that story the other day about the gay dollar, about don't travel to these countries. Don't give them our money.
Just a little anecdotal thing. I have a student in my class. He's African American, and I said, "What are your plans over the summer?" He's a great kid. He said, "I'm actually going to Ghana." And I said, "Oh, you're going to Ghana? What's in Ghana?" He said, "Oh, my family lives there now." And I said, "Oh, are they Ghanaian? Am I saying that right?
Ghanan.
Are they Ghana? Okay, are they from Ghana?" And he said, "Well, no, not originally, but part of my family actually moved to Ghana." So I believe that there's this African American growing consciousness around reclaiming their African ancestry. And I think a lot of, anecdotally, I don't have the numbers to back this up, but from what I've heard here and there are African American people that are kind of reclaiming their indigeneity to the land in Africa, and they're moving to places like Ghana and Liberia. We could get into a whole thing about how Liberia was
originally started.
Yes. So it's all very fascinating. And I said to him, "Oh, is this your first time?" He said, "No, I've been going there every summer for like 5 years," which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
So,
but part of
we are noticing, I don't know specifically the race breakdown, but a lot of Americans are leaving the country right now. Like that we are seeing actually an exodus from this country. So you might be onto something.
And I also think that again, I have to say that I'm not the most well-educated on this, but I know enough to say this, that I do believe that places like Liberia, West Africa, Ghana, which are all part of West Africa, that they are offering citizenship or at least permanent residency to African Americans because of their, maybe not necessarily their role in the slave trade, but the fact that a lot of the people that ended up enslaved in the Americas came
like
from
a
West
form of
Africa.
reparation.
Yeah, well,
Form of
I
repatriation. more like.
I don't want to
like
say that.
Ireland
but-
and Italy and other countries have done that for theirs, who were not kidnapped to come
Sure.
to the United States.
Right.
So it would make
Indentured
sense
servitude.
for a country
Right.
like Ghana to do that too.
It's all very fascinating. We should spend a whole show on this, and we should get some experts in the field.
I'm Gregg Shapiro, and let's queer up the USA view. More than 25% of LGBTQ people say Pride Month feels exclusionary, new survey finds. A new survey from dating app Tammy suggests many LGBTQ plus people feel disconnected from Pride Month celebrations, despite June being widely recognized as a time of queer visibility and community celebration. The research surveyed 1,100 queer adults and found that less than 60% felt at least somewhat represented by Pride Month. Some said they had never felt represented. Others said they were not represented very well, and nearly 10% said they were not represented at all. The survey also found concerns about inclusion within mainstream Pride events. 25% of respondents said LGBTQ people of color and trans and non-binary people were underrepresented or excluded. More said bisexual and pansexual people were underrepresented, while nearly 30% felt that queer people living outside major cities were excluded. Respondents also expressed skepticism toward corporate pride campaigns. Less than a quarter of respondents said they felt suspicious of brands participating in Pride Month marketing, while about 20% described those efforts as performative. Some even said they actively avoid such brands. 4 in 10 respondents said they feel pressure to perform during Pride celebrations in ways that do not reflect how they truly feel. One respondent said, quote, "It feels like I'm a performing monkey in a circus," end quote. Another said, quote, "I feel pressure from allies to be more stereotypically gay during Pride Month," end quote. The survey also found that 10% avoid public LGBTQ spaces during Pride because of the current political climate. The full survey results are available through Tammy, that's Taimi. Oy, so many percents. So many percents.
I'm not good with numbers.
But let's hope that a sizable percentage of Pride celebration organizers, see what I did there? I hope they're tuning into this broadcast and that they take this abundant information to heart and find a way to make necessary changes. Make everybody welcome, because Pride is for everyone.
So my thing, as I was hearing what you were saying and I heard about this, is that I feel that this really represents a larger problem that we're having in society about the epidemic of loneliness. I think that this is an offshoot or just we're boiling it down. People don't feel as though they're represented because they're lonely. And my question then becomes, what could they possibly do better that would make these people feel included? I'm not saying that these people are wrong for feeling the way that they feel. If you've got your feelings, Larry, you got your feelings. I understand that. My question then becomes, so now what?
Well, I actually completely disagree, to be honest.
Okay.
The first time I ever
You're allowed
got
to.
published in The Advocate was specifically warning about Pride was headed in this alienating direction. So this is just exactly what I've been saying was going to happen for years.
Tell us more.
When Pride, they're more focused on looking very corporate sponsored. It just doesn't feel genuine, And listen, I've worked at offices with mostly straight people, and it's nice when they do a little gay thing for us for Pride.
Like a little dance?
Yeah, but some of this corporate sponsorship gets very performative. I remember it was Pittsburgh or Philadelphia. They had a Pride, and you know how some Pride are presented by some company. presented by a fracking company one year. I'm like, what
They
is
sponsored
frack?
the entire
Yeah, so it was like random fracking company presents Pride, and I'm like, what is this? But like, so, to me, that lack of genuineness is really important. I think that's what some of this is. Also, some of it's like if Pride's just a bunch of white men with six packs, a lot of people aren't going to feel included in that either.
Well, I mean, the thing is you have the balance of Pride being a protest movement to start with, and then but the other thing is there's practicalities of it. You can't throw a parade without money, and right now there are a lot of, for example, right here in Florida, they are now trying to ban any kind of municipal participation of any kind of Pride festivities, and in return, Ron DeSantis want to punish you by basically take away your municipal duties or even remove entire city councils just to impose his own will. Yes, as distasteful as it might be, sometimes we turn to corporations for the dollars that we need to maintain security, to set up the booths, to clear the streets.
It's not cheap.
Yeah, and it's not cheap. And we can criticize Stonewall Pride, which is about to take place this month, for, having to charge a certain amount, but having security, having snipers on the roof so that there's so that we don't see so that we don't get a shooter in our midst is one of those things that we have to factor in. I know Alex is chomping at the bit to disagree with me.
Not equal that will stop.
I know Alex is chomping at the bits to disagree with me, and I don't disagree with him.
I'm not going to go into that. I will say the Pride protest part, I think, is a bigger problem because, why is Pride not a protest anymore? It's to declaw our political power.
Well,
it's trying to make us not a threat to the people.
Well, to complement what you're saying, I'm originally from New Jersey suburbs outside of New York, and I was just following up on social media, and some of the people I was an activist with are having a protest march instead of a parade in Asbury Park, which is a big gay community. So that made me feel good. Talking about alienation, I think one of the things that I had as a takeaway, SAGE was a very big senior organization, not only in Manhattan, but in the New Jersey suburbs where they had there were parades at the time, but that, people who maybe aren't as able-bodied could get on a van and still be part of the celebration on a float or on a trolley. In New York, they had these, buses that looked like trolleys. So, I think it may be shifting back without the corporate sponsorship to have protest marches, peaceful ones, but assert ourselves. And certainly they're more economical than having big floats.
But when you also think about the makeup of Wilton Manors, for example.
Yes.
And SAGE, there is a very broad spectrum of age represented at this parade. Body types, everything is represented. So I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily they are being represented here, but it might not be the case in other cities.
Absolutely. And my biggest worry, I have to say, if I had a worry, is I always go to the Pride parades, Pride celebrations, but I do worry about security. We do live in an age where, and especially in a place like Florida where we have open carry laws and we have concealed carry laws and we have, you turn 18, you can have a gun law. It's, I think even maybe less, I don't know. I don't get into it too much. But all I know is that we make a big target for ourselves when we have these wonderful celebrations, or I know Alex is saying that we need to have more protest. It needs to be more in the flavor of a protest. But any large conglomeration of the gays and the queer and the non-conforming people in a public space, I think invites the crazies. Yeah. There are always crazies that circle these events. I've seen them with their signs. And I have to say, it doesn't prevent me from going out and living my best gay life. But I do think twice about my safety.
No, I've covered events that were not Pride. They were protest events where in New England, there'd be the Nazi group that wanted to attack the drag story and stuff. Right. And all these LGBTQ people came. The police didn't protect them. The John Brown Gun Club protected them, a left-wing militia group, which is trained
who?
The LGBTQ protesters.
Thank you, John Brown Group.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, I look at it, and that just was an interesting thing, because, we don't always need to rely on the police, because sometimes the police aren't going to protect you. Sometimes you're viewed as a threat if it's a political event, but, there are many different de-escalation and defensive strategies you can take, but, Normally, I wouldn't overly worry about that. We're probably not much I say that, and God knows I
Don't.
knock on wood.
Yeah. Okay. Well, does anybody have anything else they'd like to add to this? I think this was very robust.
I am Bobby Huen, and let's queer up entertainment. Jonathan Bailey says he risked career by refusing to hide his sexuality. The 38-year-old star of Fellow Travelers, Bridgerton, and Wicked spoke candidly during a conversation with Sir Elton John for the inaugural Elton John Impact Awards podcast series, distributed by iHeartMedia. Bailey said, quote, "I was well aware of the possibilities and the limits of queer actors and what that means to an audience and whether that bleeds into commerce and how it affects it," end quote. Bailey said that in his early 20s, he believed being gay would be an hindrance in the entertainment industry, especially during a time before marriage equality became law in England in 2014 and the United States in 2015. Still, Bailey said he refused to hide his relationship in public. He shared, quote, "I wasn't going to hold my boyfriend's hand in the street, and that was something that I felt so strongly in an animal sense. And of course, if that meant that it was going to impede my potential work, then I was willing to take that risk," end quote. The actor also reflected on the importance of queer representation in film and television, crediting stories like Brokeback Mountain for helping him feel seen and hopeful about the future of LGBTQ plus generations. And here is the irony of course, I mean, according to conservative propaganda, queerness is everywhere in entertainment. And we do have a lot of, not enough, but we do have representation in queer representation in media a lot, but on the other hand, queer actors are told to be careful with their public image and basically be quiet about their personal life, or else they don't get work, because some people have parasocial people and people who are fans, who are, people who are obsessed with celebrity lives. They tend to think, oh, if the actor is queer, then he shouldn't take on any straight roles. Meanwhile, straight people take gay roles all the time.
It's called acting.
Yes. And
it's to make it more palatable, I think, in the executives' understanding of what it means to be a star, or what it means to be an actor working in Hollywood. They want to be able to make you as generic as possible. I mean, I say it's my ADHD that prevents me from watching a lot of movies, and that's partially true, but a lot of it is because they're boring and they're generic and there's not much going on. And I think that they try to boil it down to the most common denominator possible. And the most common denominator is, like a straight, heterosexual guy. And, they want these little girls and these teenagers, whoever, to be able to imagine that one day they're going to be able to get that guy on the screen. So if you live your if you live your queer life, then you're kind of cutting off their fantasy.
Yeah, that could be some of it, but I think there's two things with this. I think Jonathan Bailey is very onto something, not just with being a performer. I think all queer people in America, when it comes to work, being out to this day is still a hindrance. And, I normally am the type that's always going and saying that LGBTQ groups don't do anything. But like when they survey queer people on our work experiences, whether they be in acting, be in an office, be working at a fast food restaurant, like, there's so much. We've all experienced this. We've all
guys. I'm going to be a little vulnerable right now, but I feel like I'm in a safe space. I'm gay. I hope that's okay with everybody. I haven't come out, but I feel like, what, I'm with friends right now, and our viewers are friends. So I just want to say, everybody, I hope that makes you still take me seriously.
Well, as long as you wash your hands.
I do.
But if Bailey is 38. Then his early 20s would have been like less than 20 years ago. Which
I'm
brings
38.
us to the early 2000s. So I think by that time, especially after the successes of Will and Grace and Brokeback Mountain, things were definitely changing in
the positive
actors' favors, for sure. But I would say I'm glad he took the risk and came out. And if he needs a boyfriend to walk down the street and hold his hand,
I think he's married.
Aren't you married, Greg?
And you're married.
A polycule.
I'd hold his hand. Okay.
No, I was just going to say, just researching this before we went on air, it's interesting that Jonathan Bailey actually did part of a dissertation on movies, including Brokeback Mountain, because I wanted to see what the connection was. And I thought, good for him. And Elton John has always been a personal hero to me. I remember when he was grappling in public with his image, and I was very young then. I was a child. And, you know, I'd ask my mother questions, and I remember a DJ saying something kind of hurtful, and I said, why would they say that about him? But then later when Elton came out, it was a full circle. But he's been a hero. You know, I knew he was always different, and, you know, he's a rocket man. He is a rocket man. Yeah. I'm Larry Farver, and let's queer up the USA View. San Francisco mural highlights sex workers and LGBTQ rights. A new mural in San Francisco painted along the side of the San Francisco LGBTQ Center on Market Street was created by local artist Tanya Wisharath in collaboration with the advocacy group Decrim Sex Work California. Wisharath said, quote, sex worker justice is LGBTQIA+, racial, disability, immigrant, gender, HIV, and justice, end quote. She added that she hopes people affected by discrimination or marginalization take a moment to internally examine their relationship with sex work and how they've been conditioned to look at it. Wisharath said the mural is not meant to glamorize sex work. It's about giving dignity and justice to this group of people. The mural was officially unveiled on May 31st, ahead of International Whores Day on June 2nd, a global day for advocating for sex workers' rights. Lotus Lane, Vice President of Decrim Sex Work California, said the project collaborates the contributions of Q, trans, BIPOC, sex workers while pushing for greater protections and decriminalization. Lane also urged lawmakers to include sex workers in policy discussions. Well, sex work has been around since the beginning of time.
The oldest profession.
It is. It's biblical. It goes back, you know, certainly.
Literally, there used to be prostitutes in temples. That's how, you know, even in pre-Christian times, there were temple prostitutes where they were paid to have sex with worshippers for whatever reason.
Well, that's a good way to get people into church.
If there's such thing as reincarnation, maybe that sounds pretty kinky to me. I hope that, you know, maybe that was me.
Can we talk about the fact that, you know, sex work is bad, but if you put a camera in the room, and suddenly that's profession?
Right.
I mean, if we can make porn, why is a sex worker different than other things? Of course, the red states have been trying to ban both of those things.
Sure.
With huge failures because red state is some of the largest consumer of porn.
Right. Like, I think one of the other things, like, I love the Decriminalized group and the LGBTQ Pride Center in San Francisco for putting it up. But at the same time, like, you're looking at between the gentrification and the cost of living in San Francisco. Are sex workers even able to afford living there? I actually checked on the MIT living wage calculator while we were preparing. You need to make about almost $70,000 a year.
You got to be good at what you do.
With no kids. If you have one kid, so that's about $33 an hour.
Yeah.
If you have one kid, you need to make about $70 an hour to live in San Francisco.
Wow.
I don't know anyone that makes $70 an hour. So that's
Bobby does.
No, but I would say that, you know, if you're engaging in sex work, there are variation of prices that goes all the way up to quite a few.
Tell us about some personal experiences.
It wasn't me. I was just actually there was I think I saw a TikTok account of someone who claimed to be a famous male prostitute who is now planning a memoir, and there are of course other people who are on Twitter who claim to have slept with successful certain politicians.
Did they make
a certain lady Buck comes to mind, and
Lindsay.
Bobby, but we both know that, like, we call girls high end. They're never the ones that the police go after. The groups like Decriminalized sex workers aren't having.
They're talking about the ladies on the street,
or like a lot of trans women when they can't find employment. They're not making $1,000 a night. You know, it's a very serious economic justice issue.
The thing that irks me the most about justice for people that do sex work is that when they get picked up by the police, they get charged with a crime the same as the person who picked them up as well. And a lot of these people, it comes down to human trafficking. Some of them don't want to be doing what they're doing. Some of them lack opportunities. Some of them are underage. I mean, there are a lot of things that if you would just not even necessarily regulate it, but just decriminalizing it would make for a situation where justice can be served, because then these ladies and gender nonconforming people who are performing sex work, which is a job, I have to say, because I've had some, I'm not a sex worker, but I have to say I've had some hookups where it felt like a job. I'm just saying I didn't get paid for it, which was not good. But anyway, but I do want to say that, you know, if you decriminalize it, you allow people to come forward when they are abused. You allow people to come forward when they are raped, when they are violated, you know, so it kind of puts the onus, you know, where it belongs.
There are multiple countries in Europe, for example, where sex workers has unions.
Right.
And, you know, they collectively bargain for their healthcare rights.
Yeah, right.
In Netherlands, or I think in Germany, or in other, I don't remember which country, but the point is, if you decriminalize it and let workers organize, that they are much better off than having to stigmatize them. I think part of it, and at least in the English-speaking world, is that we, especially in the United States, is that we come from a Puritan mindset where any kind of fornication is either, you know, seen as shameful or deeply immoral in any way, unless it's missionary position in 30 seconds.
The only thing that's shameful about it is if you don't enjoy it. That's when it's shameful. LGBTQ, 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the worldview. Japan unveils first national LGBTQ plus awareness program after years of political debate. Japan's government is moving forward with its first national program aimed at improving public understanding of queer people and other sexual minorities. A draft of the plan approved by the ruling Liberal Democratic Party outlines efforts to raise awareness in schools, workplaces, households, and local communities. The government could formally adopt the program later this month. Official plans to promote academic research, distribute educational materials, strengthen counseling programs, and publish annual reports on queer policies. The program also calls for age-appropriate support for young people and increased involvement from the school counselors that they serve. The initiative follows Japan's 2023 LGBTQ+ Understanding Promotion Law. The draft program took nearly 3 years to complete amid disagreements between supporters of LGBTQ+ protections and conservative opponents within the ruling party. Well, ain't that the story always, that it takes so long for anything related to LGBTQ+ people to pass, because you always got the haters. You always have to bend over backwards, no pun intended, but you have to bend over backwards for them because you don't want to hurt their little feelings.
Well,
they'll
to be
take their
fair,
stuff and go home.
To be fair, this is Japan. Their legislative process has always been very slow, like snail's pace slow. And also Japan tends to like swapping governments every couple of years. So and right now, actually, I'm surprised that they're even going with this law, because Japan right now, LDP is actually considered more conservative side of the party, and the current prime minister is more conservative. And so for me, bravo to them, because they literally, what happened right here is the opposite of Russia. Instead of no promo homo, is yes promo homo. Yes to
the gay agenda.
Yes to indoctrinating young children about LGBTQ identity.
I'm not an expert on Japan, but I think this is both good, but it is a little odd that it's taken so long for the country that gave us Sailor Moon to do this.
And Bukkake.
And Yaoi and Yuri and everything.
I don't know all that. I just know about Bukkake.
Cartoons, honey.
Allow me to say domo arigato, Japan.
I don't know what he said, but yeah.
Thank you.
I hope it was appropriate.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up gay culture. Google Doodle honors disco LGBTQ roots during Pride Month. Google kicked off Pride Month Monday with a special Google Doodle celebrating disco music and the LGBTQ pioneers who helped shape the genre. Colorful doodle features a retro-inspired logo and a sparkling rotating disco ball designed by artist Oni Lyle. Google's website says the artwork celebrates, quote, the art of disco, end quote, and the LGBTQ artists who helped found the music movement. Google described disco as the genre that transformed the dance floor into a space for self-expression, individuality, and community. Disco emerged in Black, brown, and LGBTQ communities across the United States during the 1960s and 1970s. The genre later became a global cultural phenomenon with stars including Donna Summer, the Bee Gees, Gloria Gaynor, and Casey and the Sunshine Band, helping define the era's sound and spirit. And can I say, there's nothing more supportive of marginalized communities and artists than a giant AI company producing slop all the time, and this half-done alleged artwork. I've seen so many Google dudes that are so much better than this. This is terrible. Oh my God. I can't even believe I said that.
Did you see the Frank Kameny Google Doodle for
I don't even want to know what half of them are. That
was actually not bad. But
What was it?
Frank Kameny, who was like the pioneer.
Yeah.
It's just a little thing
With the
about him. It's a Google Doodle.
Yeah.
It's a really sweet, I thought it was very sweet. But it is sort of ironic that two of those people, Gloria Gaynor and Donna Summer, have betrayed us.
On our naughty list.
Fuck them.
Actually, apparently, this doodle also come with a playlist of disco music, and people who have examined the list, I haven't, but reported that only a couple of them were actually queer identifying artists, and the rest are basically just straight disco artists.
Here's my conspiracy theory. They want to acknowledge, queer people. It's for gay, Gay Pride Month, but they don't want to be too gay about it.
Yeah, it's a target thing.
The thing is they don't want to be targeted by the administration. So they want, it's kind of lukewarm. When I saw it, I kind of thought, I didn't know we were going to be talking about it at the round table today, but when I went on the old Google machine, I was like, oh, this is for Pride Month. Like, there's nothing super duper gay about it. I don't really see rainbows. I see some neon colors, but I see that in all AI slop. Everybody has neon colors in their stuff now.
Yeah, no, I think, and when we earlier did a whole thing about like queer people don't feel connected to Pride and suspicious of corporate pride, and this is a great example.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the worldview. World's first Chinese LGBTQ museum opens in San Francisco's Chinatown. Hundreds gathered in San Francisco's Chinatown as city leaders and community members celebrated the opening of the world's first Chinese LGBTQ museum. Mayor Daniel Lurie joined the supporters for the ribbon-cutting ceremony at the Out Museum, a space dedicated to preserving and sharing Chinese queer history and culture. The museum was founded by Chinese artist and LGBTQ advocate Shang-Chi Chen, who spent more than 20 years promoting queer visibility in China before moving to the United States in 2023. One exhibit includes a suitcase filled with photos of Chinese queer people hiding their faces. Chen says it was inspired by a story from the 1970s when a gay immigrant found refuge in San Francisco's Chinatown despite its conservative reputation. Well, I have to say, between the sex worker mural and the Chinese LGBTQ museum, San Francisco is having a fabulous Pride Month.
They are so gay there.
Oh my God.
Well, I mean, it's been gay forever and ever and ever.
Yes.
God bless Harvey Milk. And the thing is, I mean, I find it very interesting because we had previously in the last week's show, we talked about Chinese LGBTQ policies. And I wonder why, if China is so pro LGBTQ, this artist need to come all the way to the United States to open a queer history museum. The Alex was there, and he was very pro China about that
because China was saying that they were going to deal with discrimination more seriously. Yeah, but like,
are you a Chinese agent? Do we need to foreign
China
government?
Doesn't pay me anything. I
Really?
do this mostly for the kicks of looking at Bobby's face.
Oh, are you a rage baiter?
A dash, but like,
He rage bait me,
no,
specifically.
Be serious for a second. This is a nice museum, and
Yes.
it's great to see an activist talk about her time working on LGBT issues in China. I'm not shocked that they're putting it in San Francisco to the large Chinese communities. Like, it makes sense for it to be here, Bobby.
No, it's historically makes sense to have it there, but why not in Shanghai? Maybe that's because the Chinese government is not happy with it.
Let's lobby Z. We'll get them drunk and get them to say.
Okay,
I'm sorry, CCP.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up the USA view. Knox County removes Nuclear Family Month proposal from agenda after heated debate. Knox County Commissioners voted 6-4 to remove a proposal declaring June Nuclear Family Month from the meeting agenda. This rejected an effort that mirrored the recent Tennessee state resolution signed by Governor Bill Lee. Commissioner Andy Fox submitted the proclamation, which defined a nuclear family as one husband, one wife, and any biological, adopted, or foster children. The proposal also claimed the nuclear family is God's perfect design for humanity. Commissioner Terry Hill opposed the measure before the vote, saying, quote, "Some families don't quite look like this definition. We were still very much a family," end quote. LGBTQ plus advocates criticized the measure too. The Tennessee Equality Project called it insulting, demeaning, and divisive, while GLAAD said efforts like this actively harm all families by excluding diverse family structures. So not only does it reject queer families, it also rejects single parent families. It also rejects childless families.
It's not God's perfect design.
I mean, look, if God makes a woman infertile and or men infertile and they could not produce children, does that mean that it is, that
I think it did include
adopted.
Yeah,
but it's still very problematic.
One thing, I just want to thank
Say
our
two
producers for pointing out the spelling at the top of that.
I was about to point that out.
I think that's about as smart as this proposal was.
Nuclear, and it's Neuclear. Even AI would not produce words like this.
Well,
they don't know how to use AI where they're from.
it was rejected. That's the really good thing.
Yes.
And I think the best way to thank the sensible folks in Knox County is to take a trip to fabulous Knoxville, have lunch in Market Square,
go to Dollywood,
stroll through. That's a little far from there.
Is it?
But stroll through Crutch Park and look at all the great sculptures. That's how you say thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the guide, Greg. I have no idea.
LGBTQ 1 Minute News. Let's queer up South Florida and Florida. Hotspots magazine highlights Miami's biggest pride dance party in its newest issue. Our Hotspots Happening Out LGBTQ Lifestyle magazine, Hotspots is back with a feature on the Adrian Arch Center's annual community dance, a free Pride Month celebration returning Sunday, June 7th. Headlining the event is international drag superstar Alyssa Edwards, winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Global All-Stars, and fan favorite from RuPaul's Drag Race, hosted by the one and only and anchor here, Faye Watt. The celebration will also feature performances by Lady Paracio, Jellica Boom, Roxy Stones, L.A. the King, Anthony Velasquez, and DJ Zach Mantha. This feature story and many more are included in your free copy of the new issue of Hotspots magazine, which is on newsstands already. Hurry. Well, it all sounds exciting, and I'm certainly looking forward to hearing more about this. Is anyone going?
Well, it's a little too far from me, but kudos to the Adrian Arch Center, who is in downtown Miami. No one knows that for nonprofits, performing arts venue who sometimes rely on government support. This kind of thing is the kind of triggers the ire of whoever who runs the show, the protect the family, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Kudos to Adrian Arch to say, screw it and have it anyway.
Isn't it also amazing that they can do a free event with Alyssa Edwards? That's just wonderful.
It is. It's refreshing.
I think I was just saying before we started airing this that I think she's beautiful as a lady, and I think she's very beautiful as a man as well. So I'll take her either way. I just want to say that. So if you hear what I said what I said.
Someone's hot to trot. And that's our Faye Watt.
Yes.
The hostess with the mostest.
Yes, we love
Yes, we love.
Hi, Faye. We love you.
Well, kudos to the Adrian Arch and the promoters of this event for having a free event.
These are today's headlines from Queer News Tonight. Our anchors represent the best of our LGBTQ family.
If our community is important to you, share this news with your friends and family. Don't forget to join the conversation on your favorite streaming platform.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ digital television show in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines.
We need your support if our community is to grow and then thrive. We must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world.
This is the only place in the world that tells these types of LGBTQ stories in motion and sound. Hotspots Magazine, Happening Out Television Network, and Queer News Tonight.
I'm your anchor, Brian Bender, and I thank you for joining us. On behalf of my fellow LGBTQ anchors here at Queer News Tonight, Alex Morash, Gregg Shapiro, Dr. Bobby Huen, and Larry Farver. We'll see you daily at 8 p.m. To all of our LGBTQ+ world, we bid you adieu and good night.
Yeah.